Caren property story time. Neighbor's daughter is taking advantage of my kindness, and now I want to move, with an update from what OP said they're going to do next. I, a 34-year-old female, have been in my apartment for about a decade now, and although there aren't any fancy amenities or updates done to the units, other than a random superficial decoration every few years, I'm super happy in my space. Plus, it's a 2-bed, 1.5 bath for under $900 a month in a good neighborhood, which is unreal. Through the years, neighbors have come and gone, but I haven't had any bad interactions with any of them. My neighbor to the left of me moved in a few years after I did, and we've always been cordial. He's an older man and shares the unit with his teenage daughter, who's 19, her 1-year-old, and her live-in boyfriend, who's probably like 20 or something. Everything's been indifferently friendly between us, until last year. December 2022. I hear heavy pounding on my front door. I open it, and it's my neighbor's daughter having a full-blown hyperventilating panic attack. Basically, the entire day is spent not only seeing her through her crisis, including taking her to the hospital and watching her baby and the boyfriend, but also mediating and talking her through the subsequent fight that her and the boyfriend got into later that day. After that, they're a little more friendly, saying hi whenever they see me, offering to take my trash to the dumpster for me, not anything over the top, but just more interested. Starting in October of this year, the daughter starts asking small things of me, asking if I have a charger block that she can borrow, if I could help her carry something to the dumpster. Very small things. One day, she knocks on the door and says the power in their apartment is out, and she wants to ask if I can heat up a bottle for her baby and make herself some ramen. Well, I didn't really mind at the time, so, I let her in. She did what she needed to do, and then left. The next day, she asked to plug her phone in to let it charge. Again, I oblige. She does her thing and then just leaves. A few days later, she knocks on the door and asks for a ride to the store. I say, yeah, sure, since I was leaving the house anyway, but as we're on the way, she adds in an extra detail that she wants to go to a specific location, not just the closest one. We're already out, so I say, yeah, sure, and how lucky for her that she meets up with someone at that specific location that has something for her baby. It's pretty suspicious, but I let it slide. On the way back to the apartment, she's telling me how she's trying to better herself for the baby and that her dad will buy cars and take his girlfriends out on dates, but not pay the utilities, not take her or her baby to appointments, and generally just doesn't support her at all. She tells me how much she doesn't like asking for help, and it's hard for her to reach out to people. It hits close to home because, same honestly, so I give her my number and tell her that if she needs something and absolutely can't find anyone else, and I'm not busy, I try to help out the best way that I could. Since then, she's asked for money to cut the lights back on one occasion, $30 that she claimed she'd pay back with interest, but never did. On another occasion, $20 that I didn't give her. A ride to the gas station where she paid over twice that amount for vapes for herself and her boyfriend, a ride to pick up her boyfriend at 10 o'clock at night, a ride to take her boyfriend to work, non-slip shoes for a job that she just got, money for the shoes when I said I didn't have those kinds of shoes. Food for the baby, and some other small things here and there. She does have an extended support system. Her mom is in the picture, as is her sister and brother. I know because I've seen them and she's talked about them. But she seems to be skipping over those people to come directly to me for things. I'm now regretting helping her at all, but I feel stuck since I did extend my assistance, albeit with qualifiers. And because I'm too chicken crap to tell her to stop asking me for stuff, I'm searching for a new place to live, knowing that I'll never find the deal on rent that I'm currently getting. I could be overreacting, I'm fully aware. This could very well be a get off of my lawn situation, but dang it, I'm tired of playing mom to basically two grown butt people with a freaking baby. Is there a gentle way of telling her to leave me alone, or should I continue the apartment hunt and get the heck out of here? The update. You guys were tough and fair, and most importantly, 100% right. I'm not going to let a child push me out of my home. Since posting this and reading your suggestions, I've been texted and called by her several times. I let the calls go to voicemail and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. She asked me for money, and I told her that I didn't have it. No extra explanation. She's now texting me asking to use my phone to call her child's doctor at 5 o'clock p.m. Yeah, okay. I'll be in meetings for the rest of the night. I think I didn't want to flat out tell her no, because the bleeding heart that I am don't want to be just another person who's let her down. But you guys are spot on. She is not my responsibility. If I keep letting her use me, I'll end up adopting her, the baby daddy, and the baby. Yeah, there's a difference between helping somebody and then they see that and then continually take advantage of you, because once that cycle starts, you gotta nip it in the bud and make it stop. Ideally sooner than later. You ever been in this one? Let me know. Lawyer makes post-car accident worse for his client. Posted by Desert Dweller. I used to work in the claims department for one of the top auto insurance companies in America. I get a phone call from a lawyer looking to file a new accident claim for his client. His client is also my customer. I explained that I can take the initial report from the lawyer, but will be contacting the client to get his side of the story. The lawyer immediately tells me that I am not to contact the client because he is being represented by a lawyer. I explain that until I have an official letter of representation on file, I have every right to contact the client. So anyway, I proceed to gather all the details from the lawyer. Once I finish filing the claim, I generate a claim number and give it to the lawyer. The lawyer was stalling me a little bit, and I soon realized why. He was using the time to get an official letter of representation on file so I couldn't contact his client, also my customer, which he did, and now I'm not able to speak with the client unless given permission by the lawyer. The lawyer was a total pompous butt and was definitely trying to throw his weight around just to show that he was important. He definitely thought that he was putting me in my place. He proceeds to tell me that the client has minor injuries such as back and neck pain and is going to see a doctor. I explained that the client may see whatever doctor he wishes, but that it's best to have us get in contact with his doctor of choice as soon as possible so we can start using the coverage to pay for any medical bills. The lawyer gets all huffy-puffy with me and tells me that the client will go see a doctor and get all the medical help that he needs, and once it's all done and over with, he will send us a bill that we will be required to pay in full. I explain that it doesn't work that way. Some doctors require certain payments from insurance companies up front, or at least be in contact with the insurance company to confirm that certain payments will be paid. I also explained that the client only had a certain amount of coverage that he pays for. We are not required as an insurance company to pay more than what the client has on his policy. So, for example, if the client has $10,000 in coverage, we would only pay half of a $20,000 medical bill. I also explained that if the doctor hasn't been in contact with an insurance company, they may charge the client and the client will have to go through a different, longer process for us to reimburse him than if we just paid the doctor up front. Now, I know that all this sounds like a bunch of corporate BS, and it is, but I don't make the rules. I'm really trying my hardest to make this as easy as possible for the client, but the lawyer just isn't having it at all. The lawyer demands that the client will go to whatever doctor he wants and will receive whatever treatment he wants, and that we will pay for it in full, and the client will pay nothing out of pocket regardless of the cost of treatment. I went back and forth with the lawyer, but eventually you gotta understand that you're just going in circles and it's time to just take the loss. So I do, and we move on to the vehicle. Lawyer says it's damaged, but the client drove the car from the accident scene straight to the lawyer's office. The windshield was damaged and there were fluids leaking from the car. I recommended that we tow the vehicle to a repair shop, and I explained the customer had towing coverage and we can get a tow truck free of charge. The lawyer refuses and says the client can drive the car. The lawyer also demands that the client uses a repair shop of his choice. I explained to the lawyer that the client is absolutely allowed to use a shop of his choice, but that we have to send an adjuster out to the car to inspect the damage and give a quote to the repair shop. The reason we did this is a lot of times body shops will take advantage of insurance companies because they know we will pay and the shops fix things that don't need to be fixed and purposely buy more expensive parts to hike up the price. It's pretty much insurance fraud. So we usually send an expert of our own out to assess the damage and write up a fair and legit repair estimate. The lawyer refuses and says that he isn't telling us the shop that the car is going to, and once again, we will get a bill once all the work is done, and we will be required to pay the full bill regardless of the price. I explained that we do not cover the cost of aftermarket parts, only factory parts. It's listed in our contract. The customer agreed to this when he signed up, and once again, corporate BS, I know. But I don't make the rules, and I'm really trying to help the customer out here so he doesn't have a bunch of unnecessary crap to deal with. I argued with this lawyer for a long time about how things work and why the way that he was trying to handle this was going to end up costing the client money. The lawyer was on a path of destruction and was making every possible scenario worse for the client. The lawyer wasn't having any of it, and of course threatened to sue and all that crap. I finally gave in and let the lawyer do whatever he wanted. I knew the worst case scenario would come of this, and I figured I'd let the lawyer and the client feel the consequences of their stupid decisions and the lawyer trying to assert his dominance. I let him and his client do what they thought was best. I mean, why listen to the professional, right? What ends up happening is the customer takes the car to some sketchy shop. They do exactly what we feared and jack the price way up. They put expensive aftermarket replacement parts on the car, which we don't cover. The customer had to pay out of pocket for a bunch of stuff to the repair shop, and the repair shop took longer than the 30 days to repair his car, because the longer they have the car, the more they can charge. We only cover 30 days for a rental car, so the client ends up paying out of pocket for a rental car too. Also, the client had to pay some out-of-pocket expenses to his doctor. We ended up reimbursing him for the doctor bills, but it was a long, drawn-out process, and very frustrating. We did not refund him for some of the expenses at the body shop, which amount to more than $1,000. In the end, the customer had a ton more out-of-pocket expenses and headaches because of his butthole lawyer. I'd be pressing this issue finding out what happened, because you just don't let a lawyer take advantage of you like that. That's messed up, man. He's supposed to be in your corner, not his, trying to make himself look great. And in the end, it backfired on him. Shared fence dispute, posted by Readly Deedle. We recently moved into a newly built home in a development that has been around for quite a few years. Our home was on the edge of the newest phase, so our property is next to a home that was built 2 years ago. For background, my husband has a friend and coworker named Calvin. Calvin actually also lives in our neighborhood, and he carpools to work with my husband nearly every day. They have known each other for years. Calvin's in-laws turned out to be our new next-door neighbors, and they live directly to the right of us. When we first moved in, we initiated a fence being built with our neighbor to the left, and split the cost of the shared fence happily, as it was a joint decision and we decided to have it built at the same time. The in-laws on the right already had a pre-existing fence that was built probably before our home even started to get built. This fence borders our property. The in-laws have had Calvin ask us to pay $2,000 for this shared fence multiple times in the 5 months that we've lived here. They have never actually come to talk to us about it directly. Calvin just told them he would handle it, and he of course sides with the in-laws on the matter. They are very cold to us every time we see them, and they never want to converse. And we have just discovered it's because they think we owe them $2,000. The HOA encourages homeowners to share the cost of the fence. However, it cannot force a neighbor to share the cost if they do not wish to have it built or otherwise. My problem is that this fence has been there for 2 years, well before the house was built or we moved in, and now they're coming after us for this money and not even asking me directly for it. I don't think it's right for them to ask this, but I also want to be neighborly and protect our relationship with Calvin and his wife. I'm finding it very hard to see the fairness here. Would you pay the money and move on, or hold firm that this is an inappropriate request? The commenters got it. They say, why would you pay money for a fence that someone else built 2 years before you moved in? And take the fact that they never want to converse with you as a blessing. Firmly tell Calvin that his in-laws are nuts and that you will never pay them money for a fence that was built years before you even bought the property. I mean, this feels like I go to Walmart and I buy a bag of chips. I eat the chips on my way to your house, and then I make you pay for the chips that you never even ate or had any use of. This is silly. Entitled Caren at a packed restaurant, posted by General Snivy. For a bit of background information, before I share this short story, my mother and I went to Pennsylvania to visit my sister for about a week, as we haven't seen each other in person for over 4 years. During one of the last couple of days of our visit, my mother, my sister, one of her friends who she's living with, and I went to a local restaurant that she looked up via Google Maps, as we were looking to try eating at someplace new. Now, I don't remember the exact name of the restaurant, but I do know that it's on the riverside and it has tequila in its name. Now, onto the story. We arrived at the restaurant and parked in a parking lot across the street from the establishment, and we head inside. As we were heading in, we noticed that the restaurant is packed with lots of customers, and the place looks to be understaffed. There didn't seem to be that many waiters and waitresses on duty, but all 4 of us can tell that they are giving it their all to serve these people, despite the circumstances. One thing I was surprised about was that we were able to be seated so quickly, even if the place looks packed to the brim. So we sat down, ordered an appetizer, and waited patiently for it to arrive. During this time, we chatted about some personal things that aren't worth sharing, and when our appetizer arrived, the waitress forgot to give us the cheese sauce that would normally come with our fries. I politely pointed this out to her after she dropped off our food. She apologized, and she went back to the kitchen to get our cheese sauce. No big deal as far as from what I can tell. Our waitress is serving around 7 tables total, including ours. Eventually, we got our cheese sauce for our appetizer and then ordered our main meals. My mom got a baked potato with pork and barbecue sauce inside the potato that was the size of my head. My sister got a sandwich, I can't remember for sure, and some fries. My sister's friend got something else that I can't recall, and I got myself a pepperoni calzone. Our food arrived and everyone's food was correct, except mine. My calzone had ham or salami in it, which is something I don't like. So I politely informed our waitress that my order was wrong and told her what was wrong with it. She apologized and I told her that it wasn't a big deal. She offered to take the calzone back and have the cooks remake it, which I had her do. All seemed good despite the mistakes that were made so far. Considering everything that was going on, dealing with a restaurant that was packed with hungry people and being short-handed, our waitress was handling things like a champ until my mom and sister overheard an entitled Caren over at a table next to us. I didn't hear the conversation myself as I was staring off into space waiting for my food to be remade, which, by the time it was remade, it was done properly, which was nice. From what I heard my mom and sister mention as they were talking to each other, this Caren was complaining about how the food was terrible, the service was sloppy, and how they were going to complain to our waitress's manager about their slow, crappy, poor service. As mom and my sister were conversing, my sister's friend joined in the conversation as well to offer her own input, and as they were talking and taking all this information in, I agreed with everyone in my party that this Caren is just being entitled, and we were practically singing our waitress's praises as she worked her butt off, serving our table, plus several others at the same time. In the end, when we were ready to receive our check and leave, we told our waitress that she did an excellent job that evening. We thanked her for all of her hard work, and we gave her a very generous tip. I think we ended up tipping her $50 that evening, but I could be wrong about that amount. Regardless, we gave her a really good tip, and I strongly believe that we raised her spirits at least a little bit, which felt really good. My sister also offered to stand up for this waitress if she were to receive a complaint from her manager, shift leader, or whoever her boss is, thanks to this entitled Caren. Overall, the food was delicious and the service was top-notch. If Mom and I were to go back to PA again, we'll definitely revisit this restaurant and hopefully not encounter any more Carens who can't appreciate good customer service, even if it's being served right in front of their face. Caren property story time. Fix the hot tub or else. I used to work for a large hotel chain at the front desk for a short time in college. I saw my fair share of entitled people since many of them always wanted a free upgrade. On the particular day of this story, our hot tub was broken due to having an imbalance of chlorine. If you've never tried to get chemicals right in a hot tub, it's a nightmare. We had an automated system that could never do it quite right, and I was constantly babysitting it. So at around 1 p.m., a mom and her son, who had to be no older than 8, walked to the front desk. Check-in is normally at 3 p.m., so she was very early. She strolls up to the counter and immediately sees the hot tub out of commission sign, and I could quickly see the scowl on her face. I say, "Hi ma'am, welcome to the hotel. How can I help?" She cuts me off. "Is your hot tub really broken?" Yes ma'am, my apologies." "Ugh, that's ridiculous. Why didn't you say that on your website?" "I'm sorry ma'am, it just broke today and we normally don't post it online." "Will it be fixed tomorrow? This is for my son's birthday party and you've already ruined it." I've no idea ma'am, I'm sorry. Also, the hot tub's not recommended for children under 10. I figured it would make her mad, but my manager was pretty strict on no little kids in the hot tub for skincare reasons. Higher temperatures in a chlorinated tub can cause kids to get rashes easily, and we had to comp a previous stay for that very issue a few weeks back. She scoffs and says, "My son loves his hot tubs, and this was his special treat on his 9th birthday. So, fix the hot tub or else I will need to leave." I'm sorry ma'am, if you choose to leave, please let me know so I can cancel your room. Actually, since I'm a rewards member, maybe you can make up for this with a free upgrade. Please hand me your license and credit card for incidentals. I pull up her room and note that there was not only no rewards under her name, but she had booked through Expedia. If you haven't worked at hotels, then you might not know that hotels booked through third-party websites are not treated as highly as direct bookings. It's dumb, but not my policy. "Hey, I'm sorry ma'am, it looks like you booked through Expedia, and due to that, I just cannot upgrade you as you locked in your room type, even if you are a rewards member. My apologies." "Ugh, what? I've stayed with this brand for years, and this is how you reward me?" "I'm very sorry ma'am. Just give me the keys. I'll go talk to your manager later. My son needs a nap." "I'm sorry ma'am, your room's not ready yet." "Can you do anything right? Your manager, now." My manager took her aside and talked to her for quite a while. Eventually, my manager gave her an open room and she left. I asked her, my manager, what she demanded, and of course, the lady wanted a free night by citing the guarantee of our hotel brand. She told the lady that, unfortunately, that 100% guarantee was only for direct bookings, and if she wanted a free room, she needed to contact Expedia. She accepted the ready room, slightly smaller, so that she could call Expedia. I hate when parents try and hide behind their kids' birthdays for free stuff, and this mom was no exception. Caren does not own the property of the hotel. She is a guest getting a service paying that hotel. And if it's broken, I am sorry, it sucks, but your kid shouldn't even be there anyway. I mean, I have a kid, and no. What would you do in this situation? Some backstory before I share the text messages that really make this great. PSA, this story is long because it contains messages, but the drama is worth it. This officially started because my grandmother-in-law really wanted to see my newborn son. My grandmother-in-law over the years has started to show signs of what I believe is dementia and doesn't make the best judgments. I've also realized she can be emotionally manipulative and has been way before she started to show signs of not completely being there. I won't go into much detail about this, just trust me when I say she's overall not a great person, but she's still my husband's grandmother and I would never have done anything to upset her. Now, after about 2 months, my grandmother-in-law has really been pushing to see my son. Both me and my husband were hesitant about this because she's been very sick recently. On top of that, she has a history of being sick but not telling anyone that she is until after the fact. So, for example, like a family gathering. When I was super pregnant, we were invited to Thanksgiving at their house, and I declined to go because I was getting induced the next week, and if I got sick, they would have pushed it back further. My grandmother-in-law promised she was fine, but I didn't feel comfortable with it and stayed home. Not even 2 days later, she told mother-in-law that she was very sick and wasn't feeling great, even at Thanksgiving. All relevant to why I didn't want her to see my son yet, as we are still deep in RSV season and he had just gotten his first round of vaccines. However, much pushing and guilt tripping from both her, mother-in-law, and sister-in-law, we decided that she could meet our son at our house. Just a little detail, we live with my grandmother and she helps me so much with my son. Honestly, the most amazing woman ever. We decided that if grandmother-in-law was going to come over, we were going to set boundaries to make sure our son was safe and to have our own peace of mind. The boundaries were that we weren't comfortable with grandmother-in-law holding son, but would love for her to finally be able to see him. I specify this because some people see it was wrong that we would exclude her from holding Son, but we specified this to everyone before she came over, and grandmother-in-law agreed with it. Remember, she has continuously been sick and won't tell anyone she is, and when it comes time to see Son, no way in heck was she going to cancel if she felt ill. On top of this, we said she needed to wear a mask and take a COVID test beforehand. The day that she came over, we received a text from my mother-in-law that she was also coming with my grandmother-in-law and asked what time they should arrive. Mother-in-law has been to our house a few times, so it wasn't a huge deal, but I realize now it wasn't the best idea. They walk in, and grandmother-in-law shows my grandmother the COVID test, not us, but whatever, and proceeds to stuff the mask she was holding back into her purse. At this point, I'm kind of over it, but I just smile and talk to her for a little bit before going back to the kitchen while my husband took the dog outside to use the bathroom. When I was out of hearing range, or so she thought, she asked my grandmother to hold Son. My grandmother turned to me in the kitchen and repeated the question, and I simply stated, "Would you mind asking husband when he gets back?" I figured since it's husband's grandmother-in-law, it would be a lot gentler if he let her down. Instead, grandmother-in-law started crying, no actual tears, and exclaimed, "Why does no one like me?" Remember what I said about being emotionally manipulative? Yeah. I was uncomfortable. My grandmother was uncomfortable. Our poor other dog in the kitchen with me was uncomfortable. I excused myself to go start laundry after checking with my grandmother she was okay holding Son for another minute before my husband came back in. Immediately when I left the room, again, my mistake, my mother-in-law walks over, takes my son from my grandmother, and puts him on my grandmother-in-law's lap. Before this, Son was smiling and laughing while my grandmother held him, but faced him toward grandmother-in-law. My son lost it and started screaming. My husband walks in at this point, sees Son on grandmother-in-law's lap, and immediately grabbed him from grandmother-in-law and went into the kitchen. My mother-in-law was shocked and made a snide comment of, "Oh, so no one gets to hold Son today." Then they both left soon after, and my grandmother apologized profusely for the situation when I found out. It definitely wasn't her fault at all. Now comes the real dramatic part. 3 weeks after what I will now call the incident, my mother-in-law has been calling husband, and we explained to her that we were upset with how that happened. She didn't grasp what she did wrong, and the conversation ultimately went nowhere. Another week and more calls. Here's where the text messages come into the story. Husband to mother-in-law said, "Hey, I want you to know I'm not ignoring you, but I'm still not over what happened. We want you to be a part of ours and Son's life, but because of the boundaries you broke, we don't feel comfortable having you over for a while." Next week, sister-in-law to husband, "Hey, want to do dinner at Mom's on Saturday if y'all aren't busy? I want to see Son." Husband says, "No, Mom still hasn't even tried to talk to us after her and Nana came here." The next day, sister-in-law to husband says, "Hey, what's the deal with Mom and Nana? Something's been off since that day they came over there. Y'all have been distant. I just want to know what's going on." Husband says, "I already talked to Mom, but me and OP decided that we aren't comfortable with Mom coming over for a while because she broke boundaries. It's important to us because we did discuss beforehand what we expected, and Son's health is more important than anything." Sister-in-law replies, "Oh, okay, but what boundaries were broken? I'm confused. She wasn't sick or anything. She'd been around Son before that day that they went over there. What happened specifically that day that made y'all feel uncomfortable, other than Nana not wearing a mask?" "We already told Mom about it. Don't worry." The next day. Side note, my postpartum depression has gotten extremely bad, and in-laws were starting to be a little much on Facebook, so I took them off. Sister-in-law to husband said, "Why did OP unfriend me and Mom on Facebook? Stepdad just called and said Mom is bawling her eyes out over this whole situation. I don't know what the deal is, but I hope you realize what y'all are doing to the family. I'm not trying to be in the middle of anything, but Mom and Nana feel like they can't talk to you or OP. What's the deal? This crap can't go on forever. Y'all need to work it out." Husband says, "Like I said before, we already talked to Mom about it. You said you weren't going to choose sides, and it seems you already have. please stay out of it. OP unadded everyone because she has way too much going on and doesn't want to be in the drama. We never said Mom wouldn't see Son again, but we still need time. Son is our son, and Mom and Nana broke a boundary that we set even before Son was born. Even if someone in OP's family did the same thing, it would be the same outcome. We were hesitant about Nana coming over at all because of exactly what just happened. The next day, and after a phone call with sister-in-law where sister-in-law said OP was causing all the drama. Husband says, after that conversation, me and OP have talked and decided we feel you need to completely stay out of everything going on. We understand you're trying to defend Mom and be a messenger, but you have more than likely have unknowingly taken her side in this when there is no side. We are Son's parents, and we get to decide who does and doesn't see him. We aren't going to keep going in circles on what boundaries are because we have already stated multiple times what they were. What matters now is that Mom and now you can't respect that we need time to just move on from the situation. No one is trying to start drama, but by dragging more people into this, like Dad, you are in fact causing drama and we don't appreciate it. In case you forgot, we were very hesitant on Nana seeing Son for the very reasons that happened. Not only did Nana ask to hold Son when both OP and I left the room, but Mom then took it in her own hands to hand Son to Nana. We already stated that we were concerned for Son getting sick and we weren't comfortable with her holding him, but that wasn't good enough for them. Son is not a toy. We aren't mad at them, but the situation, but you have nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter, you are the messenger. You can still come and see Son whenever you want, but we need time away from Mom and to process the situation. Sister-in-law says, okay. In case you're wondering, yes, sister-in-law did kind of come out of left field. I received comments that we shouldn't have just let this continue and just ignore sister-in-law, but we genuinely wanted her to just understand why we were upset and we would really like her to not get involved. I was starting to feel like maybe I was just a witch and posted the text messages, names hidden of course, to a Facebook group called Monster-in-Laws. Not even a few hours later, and I received a text from sister-in-law with screenshots of the post and question marks. I have no freaking clue how she found the post as she is blocked on my Facebook, but she did. I felt very, very uncomfortable with her just happening upon my post, or if someone on a group of thousands of people recognized the story and sent it to sister-in-law. Really not a huge fan of that. When I ignored her text, she sent the screenshots to my husband. Here's what followed. Husband to sister-in-law says, "Can you just mind your own dang business? You have done nothing but stir the pot. OP has had nothing but problems since Son was born, and honestly, the last thing she needs is this. I don't know what kind of resentment you harbor toward her, or why you even do, but you've hated her since we got married. Guess what? You're going to have to deal with it. OP and Son are my family now, and they come before anything. I won't let you or anybody act this way toward us. Decide if this is worth having a semblance of a relationship with us. I don't give a crap at this point, because honestly, I have zero interest in ever talking to you again." Sister-in-law to husband says, "I haven't done anything. I've just been the messenger in this whole situation. If that's what you want, then fine." Shows OP's true character. I forgave OP for what she did to you. She's always assumed I've had it out for her, but I haven't. You don't understand how much you've affected and hurt our family. OP caused all of this. I wasn't the one asking to see Son. I was sticking up for Mom and Nana. They felt like they couldn't say anything to you because they didn't want to upset you. I chose to be the messenger in this whole situation because I actually care and love my family. You've done irreversible emotional damage to Mom and Nana, and now me. I hope you realize that, and I wasn't the one starting drama. If you don't ever want to talk to me again, then fine, so be it. Don't come back around later saying, "I told you so," but because I've done nothing but try and be nice and accepting toward OP, and all I get is this. But if that's the life y'all chose to live, then go ahead. OP is never like me or Mom, or any of our family for that matter, and it's said it comes to picking sides. Don't call me a pot stirrer because I've done nothing wrong. I've only told the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. Getting mad and unfriending me and blocking me also doesn't solve anything. Tell me where I've gone wrong in this situation. Please, I was only looking out for Mom and Nana because it hurts me to see them so upset. This is not guilt-tripping you, this is just the honest truth. I haven't done anything wrong, yet I'm causing drama because I'm the only one not afraid to shoot you straight." Husband replies, "I'm taking my wife's side. Like I said, it's sad you feel like you have to pick a side. We're adults, and y'all are married. When you get married, you don't pick sides. Am I wrong? Please tell me what I did wrong." Honestly, this could have been over with the first text to mother-in-law. Husband and I just needed a week or two to feel comfortable having them over again, and instead, sister-in-law made it worse. Caren property takedown time. Recalling the story made my heart smile. A few years ago, I was building a new fence for a friend of mine. I had to remove the old sections that were falling apart first, of course, and when I got to the intersection of his back fence, his side fence, and the next door neighbor's back fence, I carefully separated the neighbor's fence from his and proceeded to carry on removing the side sections that went between their two properties. My friend had told me that the side section was 100% on his property and that the previous owner, 30 plus years ago, had deliberately given the next door neighbor's property an extra foot or so to ensure that he was building on his own property without calling for and paying for a survey. The neighbor, Susan, who I will refer to as Caren for the remainder of this story, came running outside screaming at me that I couldn't remove the side fence and that it was their property, and just what do I think I'm doing? I responded back very calmly that my friend had told them well in advance that he was going to replace the fence, that he was just going to build it in the same place as the old one, and asked if they were willing to split the cost, to which they declined. No biggie. Caren started screaming at me again, telling me that I had no right to do that, and that my friend did not give them proper notice, and that she did not realize that there wouldn't be anything between the two properties to contain their dog. By now, I'm about ready to lose my crap, so I knocked on my friend's back door to let him know what was going on, and that he needed to talk to Caren, and that I was leaving because I didn't want to do or say anything that I would regret, or cause problems with the neighbors for my friend. The entire project got put on hold pending a property survey that was going to cost $650, and that they demanded that my friend pay half of, despite telling them that the fence was definitely on his property and nothing was going to change with the new fence, and that he was fine with them continuing to have a foot or so of his property so that he didn't have to rock the boat. Fast forward to the following Monday when the surveyor comes out. Turns out the old side fence was not a little on my friend's property, but almost 10 feet onto his property, and the neighbors had built up raised flower beds and done a nice brick retaining wall right up along the fence line that they had spent a lot of money just in materials for, never mind the time they put in constructing it. Needless to say, my friend came away with the biggest crap-eating grin. For the mere price of $325, he was entitled to expand his yard of more than 30 years by about 800 square feet. And Caren and her husband, who happened to be the polar opposite of his wife in personality and was super nice, spent the next week moving their garden, retaining wall, and all of the dirt that was on my friend's property so that I could build the fence on his side of the actual property line. And then they hired the cheapest contractors they could find to slap up a fence on their side of the property line, and they spent almost as much as my friend did on their new fence. I gave my friend the friends and family discount. 3 years later, the last 20 feet or so of their fence is on the ground already because it was such a crappy job that it fell over in a moderate windstorm this past spring. My friend's fence is still standing, rock solid, and his dogs are definitely making good use of the 800 extra square feet. Isn't this just a great tell of I know something you don't know, you're going to be rude, I'm going to take you down. What would have you done? World's nicest guy gets revenge on cheating ex-fiancé by living his best life, posted by Unlikely Win Revenge. This is about a buddy of mine, the most decent guy you could ever be lucky enough to call a friend, and how he got nuclear revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée who dumped him for his best friend, all the while still being the most upstanding, greatest guy that you can imagine. I've pieced this story together from things that my friend and his wife have told me over the decade that we've been friends. There's not enough room to tell you how great this guy is, but believe me, he's been there for me like a rock when things were darkest. Cast of characters. Let's call my friend Buddy, the ex-fiancée Lisa, and the hapless best friend Richard, aka Dick. As you read this story, you always have to remember that Buddy is literally the greatest guy on the planet. Dick is, well, kind of a jerk, annoying as heck, but my buddy says he always means well, and his heart is in the right place. Lisa is as big of a cheating, lying, self-centered narcissist as ever walked the face of the earth. Other people are Ray, another high school friend of Buddy and Dick, Jen, Buddy's wife, and Bob and Linda, Dick's dad and mom. All the names are fake. The background. Our story begins when Buddy, Dick, and Lisa are all in middle school together at a typical suburban high school outside Southern City. Football team, Friday night lights, and so on. The three of them are all in marching band, inseparable friends. If you know band types, Buddy plays the French horn, Dick plays the tuba. I don't know what Lisa played. Probably the flute because it's like a cliche. Buddy and Lisa are the boyfriend and girlfriend, and Dick is a happy third wheel. As they get older, Buddy and Lisa explore the physical side of their relationship like normal high school kids do, while Dick is happy to be a player. He's decent looking, so he has no problem getting action, and also occasionally makes use of the professional women in their town. This will be important later. Buddy and Lisa, typical good students, go on to prestigious public university in Southern City. Dick drops out of high school, but a self-taught programmer winds up with a decent career in tech. Buddy graduates college early with honors and proposes to Lisa at his graduation dinner with a small diamond because he's put himself through school and that's all he can afford. She accepts. Buddy gets a job at fancy consulting firm in prestigious city, and Lisa finishes college back home in Southern City. Comes time for Lisa to graduate, Buddy helps his fiancée also get a job at fancy consulting firm. During her last spring break, she flies up to prestigious city to visit Buddy and interview for her job, and she gets pregnant. She flies back home, tells Dick that she's in trouble, and he takes her to the appointment building. Neither of them tell Buddy, ever. I heard about this from Buddy's wife, who heard it from Dick one night when he was drunk. As far as I know, Buddy still doesn't know. Buddy, if you ever read this, sorry dude, I should have told you, but it wasn't my place. The betrayal. Lisa realizes when she doesn't want to tell Buddy about her procedure that she can't marry him, but she's not brave enough to break it off. Instead, she ghosts him, and he finds out through the HR department of fancy consulting firm that she's turned down her job offer and won't be moving to prestigious city after all. Buddy calls Dick, and Dick says, "Dude, I'm sorry, but it's worse. Lisa and I are now a couple. You can punch me in the face next time that we get together." Somehow, Buddy and Dick decide that Lisa isn't worth destroying their friendship, so they stay best friends, going hunting together on Dick's family place in the country and so on. Lisa is not happy about this, but Dick tells her that if she makes him choose, he'll choose Buddy. The follow-up. Buddy takes a year or so to get over it and starts dating again. Pretty soon, he meets Jen and falls madly in love, crazy in love, and to make things better, Jen is just as crazy about him. In less than 6 months, they're engaged. Now, the thing you have to understand is that Lisa is drop-dead gorgeous. She's not tall enough to be a model, just average height, but she's got these giant blue eyes and super long eyelashes, long and shiny, wavy, dark brown hair, an exquisite face, and a terrific figure. She's prettier than a movie star, and being beautiful is really important to her. Jen is pretty enough, but regular, and she really and truly doesn't give a crap. Dick travels to prestigious city without Lisa to meet Buddy's fiancée. He and Jen really get along, and Jen gets along with like everybody, and reports back to Lisa that Buddy is really happy and his fiancée Jen is awesome and so on. Lisa gets jealous and pouty when she hears about Jen's Ivy League education, but then Dick makes a point of telling her that Jen is nowhere near as hot as Lisa, so she'll stop sulking at least until she gets an invitation to the wedding. Lisa pitches a fit, refuses to go, and tries to prevent Dick from going, but there's no way in heck he'll miss his best friend's wedding, so he goes stag. No big deal, it's a super small low-key wedding. But at the wedding, Dick reconnects with another high school friend of theirs, a guy named Ray, whose date to the wedding was actually someone else's wife. Ray has a thing for married women, and this is important. Buddy and Jen go on living their best lives. At some point, Buddy gets an Ivy League MBA. His career takes off like gangbusters. They pop out a couple of kids. Jen quits her career to be a stay-at-home mom. They're rich as heck, still crazy in love, and blissfully happy. A couple times a year, the guys get together and bring their wives along. At some point, Dick and Lisa get married. Buddy and Jen are not invited to the wedding, by the way. But the women get along okay. Jen gets along with everyone, and Lisa's happy because she's thinner and prettier than Jen, especially after both women have been through pregnancy and childbirth. The years tick on. Things get complicated. One day, this is around 2008, when Buddy, Jen, and Dick are all playing World of Warcraft together. Dick gets them on TeamSpeak, a voice chat program, and tells a heck of a story. Dick and Lisa have continued to hang out with Ray, their high school friend who has a thing for married women. He's turned his eye on Lisa, who, even after 3 kids, is hotter than she was in college. She's leaned heavily into the MILF role, while Dick has had enough of her nonsense. He's decided to divorce her 3 times, but each time, when he tells her, she cries and gets all pouty. Then they have one last time, hanging out together. She gets pregnant, and then bam, Dick and Lisa's 3 kids. Ray goes in hard with his practice seduction routine, and Lisa cries to Dick that she just can't stand it, and can she please just do stuff with Ray? They do. Dick watches, goes in for more, and Lisa and Dick's marriage enters its suburban swinger era. Dick gives Jen and Buddy every gory detail over the course of a 2-hour conversation, the swinging, while they're all killing wolves on low-level alts in Elwyn Forest, and Lisa is upstairs with a bottle of wine. It's obvious during their next visit that Dick wants to join in on some fun times with Buddy and Jen, but they're not into that, and after an awkward 5 minutes, things go back to normal. The kids all play together, the women make small talk, and Buddy and Dick hang out together doing the normal things that guys do. Dick tells Buddy that the reason that they're into swinging is that he gets off on watching Lisa being degraded, and Lisa gets off on making Dick feels like he's not man enough for her. This marriage is not happy. But Dick wants to stay married because Lisa's hot as heck. She's got a solid career, and he's a mid-level tech guy with a GED who works from home while he takes care of 3 kids, so he'll never be able to do better. Things get worse. Dick calls Buddy to chat. His marriage has gone to heck. Lisa has, in her words, met the love of her life. She's moved on from Ray and from the swinging scene and is now having an affair with the guy from the accounting department at her job. She's staying out all night. She's ignoring the kids. Dick and Lisa take the kids on a swank vacation to try to focus on their family, and spends all her time crying because she misses her accounting partner and she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want a divorce because she knows she'll lose the kids. She's drunk all the time, and she doesn't want to have to pay Dick child support. She wants him to let her live whatever life she wants, while he does all the cooking and cleaning and childcare and still brings in 50% of the household money. Lisa also will not shut the heck up about how she could have married Buddy and been like Jen, a stay-at-home mom in a giant 5,000 square foot house with 6 bedrooms and a pool. I should mention that Buddy has also had a Neville Longbottom style glow up and gone from a nerdy band kid to a silver-haired, super confident, high-level executive in a top-tier consulting firm. Whereas Dick is still the guy working from his basement in sweatpants, covered in Dorito crumbs. He has been working on himself, but there's no way he can compete in Lisa's eyes, although both Buddy and Jen tell me about Dick's great qualities. Lisa is jealous, hopping mad, and she blames Dick. Dude, trust me, I know, she is bad news. Leave her, Buddy tells his friend. It is the last conversation they will ever have. Holy crap, this is terrible. Buddy gets a call at work one afternoon. It's Bob, Dick's dad. Dick got drunk, woke up Lisa at 3 a.m., told her that he never loved her, that she'd never been enough of a woman for him, that he'd been visiting ladies of the night during most of their marriage, and that he hoped that she would go to heck. Then he exited this world in such a way that the splatter went all over her and all over the bed. When the ambulance got there, she was hysterical, sitting on the curb outside the house, screaming over and over again, "Take me too, it's all my fault, it's all my fault." Later, Bob would call Buddy to tell him that Lisa specifically says he is not welcome at the funeral. Bob and Linda, Dick's parents, step in to take care of the 3 little kids who did nothing wrong and do not deserve this, while Lisa does nothing but work and drink. The coup de grace. About a year later, Buddy flies to Southern City to put flowers on Dick's grave and visit with Dick's parents, Bob and Linda. Bob is still in shock, but he and Linda have taken Lisa in as a daughter. Lisa's mom is dead and she's no contact with her dad and stepmom, to try and help her through this as much as they can. Why did Lisa say it was all her fault, and why did she ban you from the funeral? Bob asked Buddy. What don't I know? What's the rest of the story? Why did Dick do it? The moment of ultimate revenge. Buddy thinks for a minute and decides that it will help Bob and Linda to understand the tragedy that happened to their son if they know the full story. So he tells them everything. Bob and Linda have continued to do everything for the 3 kids, and they continue to treat Lisa well because that is best for the children. But the clock is ticking. Lisa's remarried now. When the kids are old enough, Bob and Linda will tell them the whole story. The youngest kid will be 18 soon. Buddy is still grieving over his friend. What did Buddy do to get revenge on his cheating ex-fiancée? For one, he stayed friends with the guy who stole her, letting her know how important she was to him versus the friendship. 2, moved on and married someone smarter, nicer, and less pretty, letting her know how important her best quality, or her only good thing about her, was to him. Had a heck of a successful career coming in number 3, causing her much jealous anguish. Number 4, had a massive glow up between 30 and 40, causing her much jealous anguish. Number 5, had a terrific marriage, causing her much jealous anguish and also letting her know that the problem in their relationship was not him. Number 6, respected her boundaries when she uninvited him to his best friend's funeral, causing best friend's dad to ask the fateful question that, in my opinion, ticks this over from karma to nuclear. Now, proof that living well is indeed the best revenge. Sucks about Dick though. Buddy says he was the kind of guy who would come to your house when all heck broke loose, clean your fridge, and make a 5-star dinner with whatever he could find. Nuclear vengeance wasn't worth the cost. I wish I had known him. Revenge on the Movie Producer, posted by Kibu Fox. Please allow me to note well in advance, this story is not mine. In fact, it's a rather popular story in a town that I once lived in, Savannah, Georgia, and it centers around one homeowner who got royally annoyed with a movie producer. There will be a note at the end about the fellow the story is about for those interested. Okay, so first and foremost, when movie producers are looking for places to set a movie that takes place in colonial or even 1800s cities in the US, due to the sheer number of parks, wide roads, and period houses, they'll often select Savannah, Georgia. They'll pull up all the Spanish moss out of the trees or trim it back, pour dirt on the roads around the squares, and effectively backdate that part of the city to fit most any place, even up to some having used the area as a setting for places like early Washington, D.C., and even places in Britain or France. Typically, when producers do this, they will pay each homeowner whose house is used as background flavor a couple $1,000s for the licensing to do so. That'll be important later. Trust me. They issue some rules like no electric lights being visible, not coming out of any door that faces the street, and you have to move your automobiles away from the drive if you have a drive. Well, in 1979, a producer came from Hollywood with the intention of using Savannah for that very purpose. Specifically, the producer was from one of the big 3-letter TV channels and was working on making a made-for-TV movie talking about the events after the assassination of Lincoln and the subsequent accusations of the doctor present at his death. The production went to the city to seek permission and then sent an announcement out to each of the homeowners telling them of the various days that the shoot was going to take place. However, much to their downfall, they also noted that the production company would not be compensating the homeowners for the use of their homes as backdrops. This was met with some great annoyance by the homeowners, who turned to the city for help only to be told that it was their civic duty to allow the use of their homes. Most everyone agreed to this and bit their lips. One homeowner, however, didn't. He decided to get revenge on the production, attempting to screw up their shooting every chance he got. He first started by leaving his car out in front of his house only to have it towed before filming started. He threatened legal action against the studio, but that fell on deaf ears. He forbade the use of his home in some of the shots, but the production company got the city to make him back down. Eventually, enough was enough. So he waited, biding his time until it was certain that they were filming. When the day came that his house was being used as a background shot, the homeowner grabbed a massive Nazi flag and hung it out in front of the house out of one of the top windows. The production company balked. They knew that this ruined any shot they'd use there. And what's more, they started to question just when he'd put the flag up. Was it just the one day? Or had all the previous shots, some of which showed the house from across the square, been ruined as well? They turned to the city for help, and the city just basically shrugged, saying that it was his First Amendment right to do that, and implied that had the production company paid the homeowners as had always been done before, then this probably wouldn't have happened. In the end, the production company had to end shooting and go to the homeowner begging for him to remove the offending flag. He did eventually do so, but only after his lawyer got a contract in writing that required the production company to pay all the homeowners for having their homes in the shot. The flag came down and the shooting wrapped in less than a day. Interestingly, it's said that in the movie in question, The Ordeal of Dr. Mudd, there are several shots where you can see that bright red flag flying from one of the homes in a distance. That stunt cost the producer quite a substantial amount of money and pushed production back at least a year while they tried to find every single instance that that flag flew in the background shots. This homeowner would go on to himself become very famous, though not for a good reason. Even so, he lives on among the legends of that city, both for his revenge against a movie producer and his later brush with fame. The fellow in question is none other than Jim Williams. Williams was an American antiques dealer and a historic preservationist based in Savannah, Georgia. He played an active role in the preservation of the Savannah Historic District for over 35 years. Williams was arrested on May 2, 1981 for the alleged murder of 21-year-old Danny Hansford, with whom he had been having a relationship with at Mercer House. After the subsequent 4 trials, a record in the state of Georgia, Williams was finally acquitted by a jury in Augusta in May 1989, 8 years after his arrest. Williams died in 1990 of heart failure, though AIDS is also suspected. He is the center of the story, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil novel, and later Clint Eastwood movie. Talk about standing up for your neighbors, holy cow, what a guy, but then to find out his other shady past and passing away a year after he was acquitted by a jury, oh my goodness, what a roller coaster of a story. What do you think? Caren thinks she owns my property. I make her regret messing with me. Click the video on your screen, you don't want to miss a fallout of this one, and I'll see you there.